for our next speaker, who's going to be giving an overview of popular coatings additives. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here about to welcome Mr. MALTE Walter, and to welcome him on stage, first I'd like to welcome Mr. Amit Mishra. Can we please give them a big hand? I request Mr. Amit to welcome Mr. MALTE Walter on the stage. A very, very warm welcome. Mr. Walter was born in 1957 in Bavaria and went to the University of Applied Sciences in Freiburg, finished as a diploma engineer in 1983, working in the coatings field for KUSUMOTO Chemicals since 1986. Please give him a big, big round of applause, and I request Mr. Amit to welcome him with a bouquet, please. A very warm welcome, sir. So do you like India? Do you like Mumbai? Yes? Did you like the yesterday's procession? Did you see it?
No, I spent all the time at the hotel because the weather was so awful.
Okay, a very warm welcome to our city. Would you like the hand mic?
I think, is it okay like that? Very good. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I saw some ladies, which makes me quite happy. It also makes me happy to see some very well-known faces since many years, so I don't feel too alone here. Always good to see some old friends in the audience. Before I'm starting to advertise a little bit for my company and our products, I would like to address some very private words to you in relation to what I heard this morning about happiness. I would say a big part, I would agree completely to that. But 2 days ago, when I was waiting, I think I was waiting for the right time for a customer call, I shared some of our cookies with some kids living on the street. And it brought to my mind that happiness is very much influenced to which family you are born, which is not really something you can choose. So if you're born at the right place in the world, to the right family, I think it's a little bit easier to come to the right happiness. I'm a little bit old, and I'm thinking back to the time when I was young. And I think there's something changing in the societies. I don't know whether it's in the Indian society, but I can tell you in European societies, it's very much like that. And I will give you a little bit an example. In the 1970s, the CEO of Daimler-Benz was Mr. von Zahn. And he was giving a speech and telling about his pride to run a company with about 100,000 at that time employees, and that he could contribute to 100,000 families being behind that. Nowadays, if you listen to CEOs giving a speech, they are very proud to announce that they made another 10,000 redundant and that they could increase shareholder value. It also seems to be that it gives a lot of pride to people not to pay taxes and to try to avoid any contribution to society. And this actually does not give me too much happiness. Sorry for being a little bit negative. Okay, right now I'm coming to the part I'm actually paid for to do so. I will tell you a little bit about KUSUMOTO Chemicals, and well, whenever you have any questions, you either can stop me directly or you can ask me later, and I will try to not to make it too boring for you, because a lot of the information you may already know. KUSUMOTO Chemicals was established in 1926 as a trading company. In 1956, KUSUMOTO Chemicals started to manufacture additives. That was mainly hydrated castor waxes as thixotropes for coatings. That was even before I was born. I just have to mention it. Okay, We increased our business since the company started to be active even outside of Japan. And 2004, we opened our first non-Japanese factory in Kunshan, China, which we, about 3 years ago, just doubled in size. Since 2006, we have a trading operation in China also, and since 2009, I think it was even a little bit earlier, I think it was before, we have our production in the state of Gujarat between Mehsana and Ahmedabad, which makes sense because all our thixotropes are based on 12-hydroxystearic acid coming from castor seed, and so this production is right in the middle of castor oil plants. On the right side, you can see the president of the company, Mr. KUSUMOTO. He's actually an old chap like me. We met more than 30 years ago, and I think he may look a little bit younger on the picture because I think he's coloring his hair, because normally it should be gray by now. Okay, number of employees, it's about 300, and this is something which is really quite good with the company. I think we are about 300 people since many, many years, even so there were some drawbacks in the markets. Since this is family-owned business, perhaps the behavior towards the employees is still a little bit different. I think you know what I'm talking about, because I think I can see a lot of faces who are running their family-owned business, and it's a different contribution. We are manufacturing in 3 plants in Japan. As I said, 1 plant in China, a nice plant in India, and we will have another plant finished with the end of the year in Thailand. Why did we go to Thailand? One reason is that Thailand is a very big market for us, because a lot of our projects are going to into the automotive field, to OEM coatings, and so Thailand is historically quite a big market for us. One of the other reasons may be that all the Japanese colleagues like to play golf, and Thailand has so many golf courses, so they all like to go there. KUSUMOTO is split into different units. It's a chemical unit distributing unique products. The additive unit, this is the unit which pays my salary. We have an international sales division, and perhaps also quite interesting to name, the ETAC unit. This is a unit which produces chambers for environmental testing. So that means high humidity, low humidity, high temperature, low temperature in very quick cycles. The idea in the beginning was to test electronic equipment mainly for the automotive industry there, but right now we also have a lot of applications in paint companies, for example, who like to use our chambers. This is our laboratory. Yeah, I just see there's a misspelling, laboratory. Okay. Around 50 chemists and chemical engineers are working there. Yes, we do research and development, but most of our research and development is a little bit opportunistic, following the needs of our customers. So once we get the ideas from our customers saying, okay, we are changing, we are going to this technology, or your product is performing quite well, but it would be nice if it could do this one and that one. And this is how we start and what we're working. So it's very much market-driven rather than just pure scientifically work what we would do. You can see our factories and warehouse. Yes, definitely we show you the most modern plant in Japan, the Kashima factory, and this is half of our Chinese factory we are showing. We had the question before. I'm asking myself why we are showing the Indian warehouse, because the production also looks very good, what we are doing with our friends in Mehsana. It's a very clean and it's a really state-of-the-art production site, and I can tell you that we are quite proud of having this opportunity to make all, or let's say, a big part of the powder products in India. We distribute our products worldwide using local distributors. We are in all these areas actively selling, not really in Africa. We have some sales to Africa, but we don't have an active sales force in Africa. These are all the different countries we are servicing, and you can see that in India, Unique is working for us since nearly 10 years, I would say. Good distributor. Nirav and Jayesh are with us. I think a lot of you may know them. Major applications for our additives. Architectural paints, only high performance. Yes, you could use our additives also for normal decorative paints, but perhaps you would not like the price for it. So high performance means we are supplying to skyscraper coatings based on fluorinated polymers, for example, which have to stand 30 years without any maintenance, this kind of thing. That would allow a high price. Heavy-duty coatings, marine paints, big field, and our best-selling product, the Dispalon 6650, is manufactured in India, exclusively in India, and distributed from there worldwide. Automotive coatings, automotive OEM, yes, that's one of our success stories, and that's the reason why we spread all over the world. Wherever Japanese car manufacturers went in the past, they took also their coating supplies with them, and with the coating supplies, they also took us with them. Auto refinishes, electric appliances, coil coatings, not as big as in the past. Wood coatings, yes, all industrial wood coatings. We're not talking about the maintenance coatings or carpenter applied coatings. Plastic coatings. We have a few products also for powder coatings. And sealants, that's quite an important part because we are supplying to this adhesive sealants components which are used to put cars and planes together, because nowadays also in modern automotive industry you're using a wide mix of different materials, so there's no welding anymore. Cars are put together by adhesives nowadays. And also in planes, all the modern planes, you would not find any rivets anymore because it's just too heavy and does not give you the structural strength. So planes are put together by adhesive. I will just briefly talk about some of the products, and we will start with the anti-sagging, anti-settling materials, which is basically what the company started in the beginning with. Some typical product names is the Namlon T205 and T206, both products made in India, and also the 6650, also made at the same plant. These are powder grade products, so therefore their use is a little bit limited to all kind of primers, not so much recommended for top coats because the preparation of the product is not so easy. Paste grade products, well known in India as a product like the 6900 HV, and we just recently launched a product which is called 7000 ICW. And more modern technology, the NS5500, and we also use the same amide technology for water-based systems. We have quite a range of surface control agents, older types like the OX grades, newer types like the LAP 10, 20, 30, leveling agents, quite new development, leveling agents for powder coatings. For all these products, I will go a little bit more into detail later, and also dispersants. Our Namlon grades, the T205 is a pure hydrated castor wax product with all the advantages and disadvantages regarding temperature sensitivity. The T206 is a mixture of hydrated castor wax and amide, so a little bit less sensitive. Both products find their main application in epoxy primers, for example, but also in putties and this kind of applications. Okay, that may be perhaps a little bit more interesting for you. This is about activation of this kind of powder materials, and what I'm telling you right now, this is something that counts for our product, that it also counts for the products of our competitors, because you know they all behave the same way. There's no, whether you get an amide from us or you will get an amide from another company, they all behave more or less in the same way. The activation of these powder grades is not so easy, because you have to activate them in the right way. That means you need the right temperature. Timing is not so significant, but the right temperature is very important. If you over-activate the product, then the network will collapse and it will never be reversible. You know, it will never fall out in the same form of the fine needles or fibers as you want to have it to really work in your system as a thixotrope. Okay, what we also show, we show that there's no water sensitivity coming from the Namlon or from the Disperlon product, which is one of the advantages over an organobentonite, especially in epoxy primers. Okay, this shows you how to prepare a Namlon master batch, because all these products you can also make a master batch out of them. As I said, it's not so easy. And it's also a little bit tricky, because if you would not reach the right temperature, the master batch itself will look very nicely. It will look very, very jelly. But if you put it into your paint later on, you will find out that the thixotropic index is not really very good. So it's, yes, you can do it. You can make your own master batch, but you need a little bit of experience and the right tools. And so the reason, that's one of the reasons that we developed other products, other products which come already in paste form, which are easier to use than the powder grades. This is giving you some ideas regarding the dissolving temperature, because you should definitely avoid the dissolving temperature, because once you dissolve the product, you will definitely run into a seeding problem later on. This graph shows you the temperature influence. It's just stating what I gave you before. If you look at the different temperatures, in that case the 6650 in this formulation giving, you need an activation temperature of 70 degrees, and then you will reach the highest dry film thickness, the highest sac resistance, which also tells you about the thixotropic index. If you would measure the viscosities, you would see that this is the highest thixotropic index. On the right side, you can see some of the competitive materials, like, for example, D and F and G. These are either fumed silicas or bentonite types, which are absolutely not temperature dependent. Talking about the paste, as I said, it's not so easy to make a preparation to have a very good activation of the product. So we and also our competitors manufacture paste products to make the life a little bit more easy for you, because you have a optimized or an optimum activated product already in your hands, and you can see on the pictures on the right side that this product really avoids settling quite well. This is all adjusted to spraying viscosity, because yes, settling in a storage viscosity would not be such a big problem. Another advantage of amides, okay, in that case our amide, but actually also our competitors' amides would not look too differently, depending a little bit where they are coming from. They give just a very limited haze. What you can see here, we made a test in a polyester system, and you can see discs of the dried paint which are about 7 millimeters thick. So you would never achieve such a thickness in your film, and you can see that it's slightly hazy, but much less hazy than a silica or organobentonite. That's the reason why we sell quite a nice amount of the 6920X into piano clear coats. Piano clear coats which are used on quite expensive cars on the dashboards, because the really expensive car, they're using real wood in the dashboards, and they apply normally a piano coating of about 100 micron dry film thickness. And there's absolutely no haze accepted in this kind of formulations. One of the later developments is the NS5500. If you would get a paste product wherever you would get it from, you would have also to make something like a master batch process if you really would like to get the very fine particles and an optimized performance in your system. So that means you would take one of these 20% or 10% pastes, you would dilute it either with solvent, whatever, make a 10% dilution, something like that. You would have to steer it under high speed for 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes to get the right fine particle size of the product, which would really not, or which would really help you to avoid any haze, and which gives you the maximum performance of the product. This is quite difficult because it costs you time, and even some company, they don't have the right equipment. They don't have the high-speed dissolvers running. So we designed a product, the NS5500. To be very honest, years ago, BYK, our competitor, brought an interesting product to the market, the BYK 410, which is the urea product, which is also, it's a liquid. You can use this as a post-et with a letdown. You just pour it into your system, you stir it a little bit, you add some nice oxidized polyethylene to it, like for example the Serafac 160 coming from the same company, and you get a very good anti-settling behavior, and you get a very good pigment orientation. Okay. Disadvantage of this BYK Serafac combination is that the 410 only works well in NMP. As soon as you go to another solvent, for example, if you would use it in a pure xylene solvent-based system, it would fail completely. Our product, the NS5500, which is a hybrid of amide and where the needles are coated with polyethylene, it's very much unsensitive regarding solvents. That's a reason why over the last year we could take quite some business from our competitor, because a lot of people making, for example, car refinishes, they had the problem that they made a perfect product. A perfect product is leaving their factory. The product is sold to the spray booth, and what are the people at the spray booth doing? Are they taking the thinner you are recommending them to take? No, because the people at the spray booth, they know everything much better than you do, and say, no, your thinner is much too expensive. I found a very nice and cheap universal thinner. You put it in, but in combination with the BYK 410, you may end up with a lot of gelation later on. So it's not your problem, it's a problem of the spray booth, but try to tell him. He will not listen to you. So that's the reason why such a product for this kind of application clearly has its advantages. AQH 800, same idea, amide technology for water-based systems, and you can see in comparison with some ACE types or urethane thickeners that the product gives you a much better anti-settling properties. Okay, let's leave a little bit the anti-settling and anti-sagging, just some pictures how wonderful our defoamers are working. Let me talk a little bit in general about all this kind of surface active agents. Why do you find so many different surface active agents in the market? It's very simple. All these products are very sensitive regarding the polarity of your system. You have to find the right product for the right polarity. So since if you go from whatever, a low solid type of product to very modern high solid type of paint product, you will find a big range of different polarities. The polarity, just very, very briefly, the point how such an antifoam or also leveling additive works is the size of the droplets. You put something into your system which will not get into solution or should not get into solution, it will form very, very fine droplets, because in the most cases you talk about a liquid. And the size of the droplets later gives you the effect of a good antifoam or a good leveling additive. And the size of the droplet is directly related to the polarity. So that's the reason why you have to go for different materials for different systems. That it's just not possible to have a general product which works everywhere. That's perhaps quite important to know. LAP10, for example, LAP20, LAP30, these are a little bit more modern products. Why? Because over the last years, shifting to solventless or high solid products, polarity of the system went up. So you have to use different products. So all these products are better recommended for higher polar products. This shows how wonderful the product is working. Another grade of additives are our SPLs, leveling additives, technology. Some of the products are silicon-free types. That means they have a lower influence on the surface tension on your product. We have some silicon type. This allows you to formulate this leveling additives into different layers of the coating. You know, sometimes even for the base coat or for the primer, you may have a leveling problem. So you may have to start with a leveling additive. Okay, so there you go for a low surface tension or a product which has a less influence on the surface tension, and by step going, for example, to the base coat and then to the top coat, you would go for products giving you a lower surface tension in your product to be able to coat the lower level. If you would look into our literature, I can't tell you why, it's a little bit misleading, the nomenclature. Because we also have a product like the SPL 94, and you may think, okay, the SPL 94 may give you a lower surface tension than the SPL 93. That's just not like that. Don't ask me why, but it's a little bit confusing sometimes. SPL 93, by the way, is a silicon-based product which gives you the lowest surface tension. Therefore, it gives you some good anti-scratch properties. LS480, also quite a modern product, can be used because it's silicon technology in solvent-based, solvent-free, and also water-based systems as a good leveling additive. What we are showing here on the right side, it's we put some hand cream on a finger, we put it to the surface and then coat it to this spoiled surface, and you can see that with an addition of 0.3% LS480, it copes quite well with the spoilage from the hand cream. Everybody who's working with water-based systems knows that water-based systems are definitely not forgiving any spoilage on the surface. Very simple. From the past, where you had low solid coatings, coatings with a lot of solvents and very nice solvents, normally spoilage of the surface wasn't a big deal, because you know they can cope it. They will bring it into solution, even if you have some oil dust on it. With higher solid products, spoilage has got a bigger problem, and water is really how can I say, to work with water can be quite a headache sometimes. If you would go to car manufacturers who are applying water-based coatings, you would see how much pre-treatment they're using on the car body. This is really because, you know, the pre-treatment gives you the good results. I'm talking a little bit about that because, you know, I'm traveling in India since many years. And a lot of the problems I'm facing are really not the problems of the coating manufacturers, these are the problems of their customers, because the customers are absolutely not willing to do anything, which sometimes I think it's a little bit ridiculous. Because if you would have one guy, let's talk about a helmet manufacturer, which I just visited, just one guy, and wiping every helmet just with a little bit of piece of cloth with some alcohol, you know, everything would be nice, it would not be a problem. So no, I can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. And the outcome, not doing that is very bad. And it's very difficult for the paint manufacturer to develop something which can overcome this problem. And so I really can only recommend, try to see really what the car manufacturers are doing on pre-treatment before they coat with the water-based system. And it's really, this is, I think more than 50% of the positive result comes from the washing and from the pre-treatment. PL450, that's our product for powder coatings. Absolutely great product. Different from all our competitors, we are not spraying the surface active agent on a mineral carrier. We have, let's say, a spray drying process where we coat the droplet of the surface active agent with hydrated castor wax so that it becomes a powder. That means our product melts completely into the system. Actually, this product was a little bit developed when people like, for example, DuPont started applying powder clear coats on cars, because this product does not give any haze and it gives a perfect leveling. So wherever you need really a high performance clear coat, that's the right product. If you go for a normal powder coating, don't think about it, it's just too expensive. Dispersants, SPD, super pigment dispersants, high molecular weight dispersants, which the product, if you use them in the right way, that may bring you some happiness, because you can see a much better color development and less problems later regarding flooding. You will always get some very constant rub-out results. Again, you have to find the right product for the right pigments. It's again, pigments, over the variety of the pigments, you find so many different surfaces. Just as an example, carbon blacks. All Orion carbon blacks have a very low, or let's say all the high quality carbon blacks like the FW200 and Special Black 5 and whatever, they have a very, very low pH. So you would have to, or you have to use a different pigment dispersion than, for example, for Monarch. Even so, it's coming from the same process. It's also a high quality carbon black, but the pH of a Monarch is much higher. So you need a product with a different chemical character to have a good attachment, a good adhesion to the surface of the pigment particle. DA325, that's a dispersant. I think we are quite successful in India selling this product to epoxy flooring manufacturers, because this is a product which does very well on inorganic pigments. AQ380, that's for water-based systems. It's a product, this product is really working quite universally. But generally, the pigment wetting on water can be a little bit less difficult than pigment wetting on in solvent-based systems. And this is finally, it's an anti-flooding, anti-floating agent. Please look at these kind of products, whether they're coming from us or whether they're coming from other companies, just like a medicine. I think it would not be wise to formulate from the beginning with such a product, because, you know, normally they're just overcoming a problem which may come from a non-compatible white base dispersant and whatever, the dispersant for the inorganic or organic color pigment. That's it. I think I did quite quick. By the way, I will stay later here. If you have some specific questions, just you may recognize me and just come to me and then talk to me. I would be pleased to answer you some questions.
Do we have any questions, or we take questions later?
Later, always later.
All right.
Questions always
Thank
later.
you so much. Thanks a lot. I request Mr. Hamid Memon to please join us on stage and present a token of appreciation, a memento to what a wonderful speaker you are. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a big, big hand.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again. See you later.
Thanks a lot.